Hi coders! In this video, we will discuss about static keywords, static variables, static variable advantages, disadvantages, static variable example, static method advantages, disadvantages, and static method example. Static keyword is used for memory management. Static keyword can be used in variable, in method, in block, or in nested class. Our focus here is static keyword in variable and method. When you declare any variable as static, it means your variable is static. The advantages with static variable, it gets memory only once in the class area at the time of class loading. It makes your program more efficient, while disadvantages are static variable remain in the memory for a long time. Because of that, its garbage collection is very difficult and it cannot be overridden. Let's see the example in Eclipse. So here is the program. My class name is static program, and I will have one variable static that I declare it as integer, and the variable name is hour, and I assign it with 8. Now I want to create a constructor method that will display this variable value after it's added by 1. Here is the constructor method. I call constructor method because the name of this method is exactly the same like its class, and the purpose of this method is just to display the variable, class variable, after it's added by 1. Our plus plus here means our equal to our plus 1. Now let's create the object. So I have 3 objects here. In case you are new to programming, we need to create this object to be able to access the variable as well as the method. To create the object, you need to use the name of the class, and then was the object name, equal sign, new, and then the constructor method or the method of the class here. As I mentioned just now, with the static variable, it saves memory because it only gets memory once at the class loading. Let's run this program. Here is the result. So when I created this object, the static program here will call the constructor, which is here. So it means it will read the previous hour is 8. It's saved in the memory, it's 8. And then plus 1 here. When I display it, the hour will display 9 here. And then I go back to the main method. Now I run the second one. When I run the second one, I call the static program method, which is the constructor here. It will not get memory anymore. It will continue reading from the last. The last hour is 9, so add by 1 become 10 and then display here. So the hour display here. Once it's done, go back to the main method and then run the third one. When it run the third one, then it will call static program method, which is the constructor. Again, it will read from the last one. The last hour is 10. So 10 plus 1 become 11 and then display 11. Now let's see the difference if I don't use static. If I don't use static, it will get the memory every time you create the object. Now let's see the result. So when I create the object here, then it will call static program method, which is the constructor. The first hour variable created in the memory is 8 and then plus 1. So it becomes 9. And then display hour is 9. It display here. Once it's done, go back to the main method and run the second object and then call the static program method, which is the constructor. It doesn't read from the last hour variable. It will get another memory. So create again hour, 8 again, and then plus 1 become 9 and then display. And then go back to the main method, run the third object here. It calls again the static program, which is constructor method here. And then again, it will get memory one more time. So the hour start from 8 again and then plus 1 become 9 and then display here. Now let's see static method. When you apply static keyword with any method, your method is static. The advantages are static method belongs to the class rather than the object of a class. It can be invoked without the need for creating an instance of a class, and it can access static data member and can change the value of it. While these advantages are cannot use non-static data member or call non-static method directly. This and super keyword cannot be used in static context, and it cannot be used to override method. Let's see the example in Eclipse. Here I created a program with class static method here. Now I will create one static method, okay, like this. This static method purpose is to add these two numbers and then calculate the result and display the result. To have a good understanding, I will create another method, but it's non-static. So here it is another method, but it's non-static. You can see the keyword here with static, here without static. Now I want to create the object. To be able to call this static method, I don't have to create the object because static method belong to the class, not belong to the object. Therefore, if I want to call this static method, I just need to call the class name dot the method like this. This is how I call the static method. And then how to call the non-static method? To call the non-static method, because it's belong to the object, I have to create the object first, like this. Here is the object, and then to call this, I need to use the object name here. Here it is. I use the object name and then call the method name. For the static method, I can also use the object, but it's not necessary to use the object. It's not wrong if I use the object, but it's not necessary to use the object. Let me put it back. For the non-static method, it's a must to create the object, because if I don't use the object here, like I use class here, then it will cause an error. Let me put back to the object name. Now let's run it. Here is the result. When we call the static method dot add, it will pass the value 10 and 5 to x and y, and then calculate it, display the result. Here it is. Go back to the main method. Now it's time to run this. Calling the subs, pass the value 10 and 5, and again calculate it and display it.
If you learned something from this video, please subscribe and like for more videos. Thanks for watching.